So let's go through the litany of things that have happened since the Lakers have lost. Darvin Ham, I would guess, likely to be fired. I would guess. And LeBron James is going to be a free agent. Now, both of these things can in fact be true. Okay, both of these things can in fact be true. Okay, the first thing that can be true is that LeBron James was great last night. He doesn't move and cover as well defensively, and there are things that his body is not capable of. Period. Like he's not like a superhero, even though he was as close to a superhero as we've seen. But it's kind of hard to find fault with how well he played last night. And it's weird. Like I talk about being a radical centrist, and most people think it as a political term. And in most ways it is. But the reality is I'm a radical centrist in life. And by that I mean, if you go back to 2012, 2013, when he was first playing with the Heat and trying to win a championship, I thought people were super unfair to him. And that, did he create a super team? Yes. Did he leave his hometown team to create a super team to win a title? Sure. But, I've heard, I was listening to other sports radio shows, not Colin, I was listening, kind of scrolling through the dial, listening to other stuff today. And you heard people go, well, people didn't like the Miami move. It's like, no. Let's make sure we contextualize it the right way. They didn't like the way in which he handled the Miami thing. Right? He didn't call Dan Gilbert to tell and give him the heads up. He did it in Greenwich, Connecticut to raise money for Greenwich, Connecticut Boys and Girls Club. I don't know if they needed it all that bad. The tough, hardcore streets of Greenwich, Connecticut. And I didn't care about the sideshow of the not one, not two, not three sort of thing, but people do. But look, he went down there. First time he was in the finals, the moment was probably a little bit too big. And let's also be honest, Mike Bibby as his point guard wasn't good enough. And, they made fun of Dirk after game one, and they got their comeuppance after that. They lost in 6 games. He wasn't particularly good. He got super frustrated. And they went out and got Ray Allen, and Ray Allen did, in fact, bail him out one of those years. But they won 2 titles, went to 4 NBA Finals, and then he had an incredible comeback with the Cleveland Cavaliers against the Golden State Warriors. He's a great player. Great player. Inarguably, all-time great. And he played well last night. But the post-game stuff, so he has a player option, which means he can choose to be a free agent, not choose to be a free agent. And here was what he said when he was asked about it last night.
Tonight, was there any thought at all that, this could have been your last game with the Lakers?
I'm not going to answer that. Appreciate it.
Not going to answer that. Okay, now look, this is why you don't ask a yes-no question. Because if you say, what's the likelihood that this is your last game as a Laker, you still might not get an answer. But when you ask a yes-no, he just doesn't choose to answer. And I know that Shaq switched teams a million times, and I wouldn't have given Shaq a statue, to be completely honest with you. The problem is he won 3 straight NBA championships, right? But Shaq ultimately playing for the Celtics, but leaving, going to the Heat, wanting more money, I don't know. Didn't feel great to me. But that relationship, Shaq and Kobe, at that point in time, had come to a fissure point where they had to break up. It had to go their separate ways. So I look at it, and I think to myself, this is like a fascinating snapshot of things. You have LeBron James, after losing a series in which he competed his tail off. The Lakers competed their tail off. And if you said to me, hey, how close are the Lakers? I would say, not particularly close. Not particularly close. The Lakers are not close to winning a championship. That's something that people are going to have to, they're just going to have to realize. The Lakers are not close to winning a championship. They're not close at all. At all. So, yes, LeBron has the right to declare and become a free agent. But what Laker fans were looking for last night, and I'm not a Laker fan, right, is I need 14 other dudes that want to get this thing done. I need a coach that knows how to get this thing done. And just a double down on being all in on the Lakers. Now, that can sound fake. That can sound premeditated. That can sound like a lot of things. But you know what it isn't? Okay? It isn't avoidance. It isn't, hey, I'm going to leverage this and get out of town. That kind of talk is the talk of Kobe Bryant. This is the lure of Kobe, the lure of Magic are so incredibly strong in Los Angeles, and the multiple titles are the reason why. Like, does that feel like a good look? And the answer is, no, not really. Doesn't feel like a good look. Isn't a good look. Isn't a strong look at all, in any sort of way. By the way, here's Darvin Ham after the game.
It's tough. My mind's all over the place right now, so that's a great question. But maybe at some point later on, I'll give you an answer. It's been a hell of a 2 years, though.
Yeah, so he was asked about his job status. I think sometime today or tomorrow he'll be fired. That'd be my guess. And Darvin is not a bad guy. And that doesn't mean he's the greatest guy in the world. I don't know him well enough. I just know that his style is very kind of seat of your pants and go by feel. And that's not really, doesn't really jibe with LeBron. And look, a lot of this LeBron, a lot of the stance that he's taking is just leverage, right? If he wants them to draft Bronny James, as has already been rumored, they're open to finding a way to drafting Bronny James. I'm sure that LeBron James will say, like, look, if we come back, I don't want D'Angelo Russell here. I probably don't want Darvin Ham here. And you can probably pick some of your teammates and pick your coach and pick who you definitely don't want as teammates. That's what leverage is. You get to pick certain things. The question to the Lakers is, at what point do they say no? At what point do they say, yeah, we can't do that. We have our own plans. Because he's a free agent, that means he signs a new contract. With a new contract, it's how many years is it going to be for? Is it a 2-year deal? If it's a 2-year deal, well then, hey, we're not going to draft Bronny this year. Why don't you have him go play for Duquesne and he comes next year? If it's a 1-year deal, if LeBron really, really, really wants to play with more great players, take less money. He's allowed to. He won't, because LeBron is this strange kind of conflux of ego, pride, along with brilliance. So I'm sure he knows that's an easy answer, but he thinks that's a problem somebody else is going to have to solve. He's LeBron James. But the Nuggets are better, but the Lakers battle their asses off. Like, I can point out that LeBron is not perfect and still tell you, like, I think he has nothing to hang his head about how he played. I thought he was awesome. But after the game, when you're asked about it, even if you have leverage and you're going to use leverage, which he's clearly going to, what's the win in saying it publicly? I have every intention to be back with the Lakers, and we're going to get this thing right. And I need 14 other dudes and coaches that want to get it right. And we got that, we're going to get it right. These problems can be solved. So, I don't know. Jay, you've been in this town a long time. Am I wrong to think that that answer is at least a portion of why Laker fans struggle to go all in on LeBron James being a Laker?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. That's what I thought, too. Like he rarely ever considers the fans when he's answering questions or when he's doing anything publicly. It's about his business, how his future's going to be impacted. So yeah, if I'm a diehard fan, and I've always been a Lakers fan, it's faded over the years, but if I'm a fan today, I'm like, is there any like consideration for us? Like, or are you just what is that military term for like employing military that we used the other day? The
mercenary. Yeah,
mercenary. He's just a mercenary for the last 7 years.
Yes.
There's no connectivity to the city.
Yes. I would agree with you. There's no connectivity to the city. He plays for the town. He plays, and really, this is what has happened in college sports. Right? There's been the trickle down, where you play for a school, but because you only do it for a year, you don't really play. You're not all in on it. And the Laker thing is interesting because former Lakers are all around L.A. You know, a lot of them they throw on Spectrum Sportsnet. Now, he doesn't need any of that stuff. But, Magic Johnson is likely a billionaire, and it's all because of what L.A. was able to do for him and what he was able to do in L.A.
By the way, something got in that guy's Cheerios this morning.
I saw that.
Or he was hacked. Because he's making very pointed, critical comments about this team today. He's been on quite a surge.
Well, I just saw the one about load management, which I didn't think was accurate, by the way.
Yeah, I don't think he was accurate on that one. He says, Laker Nation, we have a problem. All the good teams are in the West are young and talented. The Nuggets, T-Wolves, and Thunder. And the biggest elephant in the room is the Spurs. Who will Victor Wembanyama? And then he goes on to say that the Lakers are getting older and they're not getting better.
Yes, the Lakers are getting older. No, they're not getting better. I'm like, look, I think Austin Reeves is super talented. I think Anthony Davis had a really good year and was healthy most of the year. I don't know what happened with his shoulder last night. And I thought they got as much out of LeBron James as you can get. After that, it's very hit or miss. Very hit or miss. But that's what happens with your roster when you go after guys. When they went after Anthony Davis, when they went after Russell Westbrook, they depleted their roster to do so. Much like the Phoenix Suns, and the fallout has been much like the Phoenix Suns. Much like the Phoenix Suns. It's like one of those things to where you're like, you want to say, hey, Lakers, why don't you just bite the bullet, let him walk, start over, or trade him and but what do you get back in return for a guy who doesn't want to play for you anymore? You get something. You get a lot because it's LeBron. But this is your chance. What is more likely to happen if you add another piece? To get back to where you are in the playoffs, to get further along in the playoffs, right? Or what's more likely to happen if you trade LeBron James and get a bunch of... The problem with LeBron is there's the tie to Anthony Davis. They're super tight. They share the same agent. The likelihood is that AD can shut down on you. They're not trading LeBron James. I think all of this is just for show. I know he'll be back with the Lakers, but the real challenge is, could somebody convince LeBron James to take less money in order to make sure he has better surrounding talent? And the answer to this point has been nope. That has not been the way LeBron's done business. LeBron has done business as, I'm going to get what I need, and you figure out the rest.